Well, good morning and welcome. My name's Michael Wrigley. I'm the Deputy Principal of the College, and it's my great pleasure to be the MC for our 2019 Welcome to School Assembly. In particular, today we'll be presenting our Senior Duxes Awards and launching the 2019 College theme. I'd particularly like to offer a welcome to our special guests, parents, staff and students. And in particular, I'd like to welcome, up the back there, our new 222 Year 7 students, and a particularly big welcome to our 18 new students from who've joined us at Emmanuel this year. They're coming from local schools, schools in regional Victoria, from Melbourne, from interstate and even overseas. So a big welcome to Emmanuel College from all of us. I'd like to now introduce our Director of Enhancing Catholic Identity, Mr. John O'Sullivan, who will lead us in the acknowledgement of land and prayer.
Good morning, everyone. Over here with our school candles lit, we have the colour green, and the colour green represents ordinary time in the church calendar. It'll change with that lead up to the season of Lent. So that's the colour green. Emmanuel College acknowledges that the land on which we learn, create and grow is the traditional land of the Gunditjmara people, who educated their children in their language and spirituality and in the traditions of their culture for many thousands of years. We also acknowledge and respect the cultural diversity of students, families and staff represented in the Emmanuel College community in the past, present and future. We support the principles of a reconciled Australia for all its people in the interests of our children, tomorrow's leaders. This morning we will have a prayer, and the theme will be on St. Vincent de Paul, and that will be outlined. St. Vincent de Paul walked through the streets of Paris. Everywhere he looked back in the 1700s, he saw homeless people and beseeching beggars. He saw hungry people. He saw children and elderly men and women who were neglected. He saw sick people without health care. He saw refugees from warfare. He saw people who were spiritually abandoned and without hope. He turned his sense of frustration and dissatisfaction into an urgent faith-filled desire to do as much good as he could. Next Monday, we have our first Young Vinnies meeting for the Year 7 to 10 students. Any Year 7 students and any new students to the school would be very welcome to come along and hear about what we do as a Young Vinnies. Many of you may have been in a mini Vinnies in primary school. We do a variety of activities, and that'll be explained next week. So that opening is there if you wish. I invite Rebecca and Emily to come forward. They will talk about the Vinnies after school homework program they were involved in over the last 18 months.
The St. Vincent de Paul tutoring program has been running for just over a year at St. Pius Primary School. It was modelled on programs run in disadvantaged areas of Melbourne, such as refugee and migrant communities. This specific program aims to help students who have been recognised to struggle with maths and literacy between the ages of 9 to 12. The program runs every Tuesday of the school term from 3:45 to 4:45, and there is a bus available to transport students from Emmanuel to St. Pius straight after school. Every week there is an afternoon tea provided by volunteers. Following this, we work one-on-one with students to help them complete their homework and support their learning in class. Last year we had a range of volunteers, including 10 Emmanuel students in years 10 to 12, as well as primary school teachers, teacher aides, uni students, retirees and people from the local church.
Tutors do not need to be strong in all subjects. Any help is welcome, and you can choose to help with either maths or literacy, or help run activities such as making biscuits or craft. You also don't need to be a member of Young Binnies to participate. Not only does this program facilitate a great way for students to give back to the community and tick off their community service requirement, but it is also an opportunity to develop personal skills. By teaching others, you will strengthen your own understanding in an area as well as learning different learning techniques and strategies. I encourage anyone to contact Mr. O'Sullivan to get involved in this beneficial and rewarding program. There will be an induction for any interested students at 4 p.m. in the Macaulay LRC next Tuesday. Thank you.
We'll conclude the service with a short prayer in the footsteps of Jesus. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Lord, help me to imitate your way of loving and acting. You said that you would come upon earth to serve, not to be served. Teach me to show great gentleness towards all.
Teach me to imitate your goodness in welcoming them. Like you, I want to love tenderly, to be respectful to all those that I meet, to be affable and gentle to those in the greatest need. Amen. Saint Joseph, pray for us. May the spirit of Catherine Macaulay and Edmund Rice guide us in all that we do. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. We now invite Mr. Morgan to the stage.
Good morning. Good morning, staff, students, parents, special guests and subject Duxes of Year 12 2019. I'd especially like to welcome our guest this morning, Dr. Chris Dolan from the University of South Australia, and Mr. Ian McKay, the Regional Manager of the Mount Gambier campus of the University of South Australia. I also welcome Ms. Katie Meyer, Regional Manager of the World Challenge Organisation, and the 2017 Dux of Emmanuel College, Mr. Jacob Pope. I too would like to make a special mention of the 220 Year 7 students this morning attending their first whole school assembly, and those students who have joined us this morning from other schools, as Mr. Wrigley mentioned. I'd actually like to ask the rest of the school to welcome them with a very warm, welcoming round of applause. So to all students this morning, I hope you have settled into your classes. It's only been a few days, but nevertheless, I hope that you've settled into your classes and you've begun to approach each subject and every lesson with the belief that you can work hard and be successful. This special recognition assembly that we're participating in this morning was introduced only a couple of years ago, and it's quickly become one of the most important opportunities for our whole school to come together. Some of those results are amazing, including a perfect study score of 50 in languages, but more on that later. These young people join a long line of students who have graduated from Emmanuel College and are now doing amazing things with their lives all over Australia and around the world. Before we start to introduce the recipients, I want to say something about the importance of recognising and celebrating achievements and success. There's something about the Australian culture that tends to put down people who have been successful. In fact, the habit is so well known, it has its own name. It's called the tall poppy syndrome. The tall poppy syndrome refers to the way Australians try to put down their peers who are very good at what they do, especially if it's something intellectual. Last year I heard Dr. Julianne Lynch, Associate Professor of Education at Deakin University, talk about this issue. She described the impact of the tall poppy syndrome in education, which causes some students to develop a fear of success and to talk down their academic achievements or how much effort they've put into their study so that they won't be mocked by their peers. Dr. Lynch believes that the social pressure to talk down ambition and success is even worse in regional and rural Australia, which may help to explain why country students are statistically less likely to finish Year 12 and far less likely to attend university than students who attend schools in the capital cities. This morning, I'm asking you to think about whether or not this describes Emmanuel College and Emmanuel students and celebrates success. Because when you belong to a community like we do at Emmanuel, the success of any one person enriches all of us. Our connection to successful people increases and improves our own chance of success. And celebrating success inspires us to work harder and to believe in ourselves. This morning we're going to celebrate one form of success. But there are so many examples of success, so many examples of people in this school trying their hardest, even during holiday times. People like Rachel Dixon, Emily Reid and Rebecca Zerby, who attended the National Science Forums in Canberra and Brisbane. And Max Bolden and Joby Steele and Andrew Pritchard and Finn Lader and Joseph Marnie, who spent 8 weeks in Japan over summer improving their Japanese language. And Caitlin Garner, who received the Warrnambool Australia Day Young Citizen Award. And people like James Shipper, who attended the Melbourne Computer Summer Camp during the holidays. Or the Warrnambool brothers, who competed in the Cycling Down Under in South Australia in January. Or our own teachers, including Mrs. Catherine Ryan, who appeared on ABC Radio recently to talk about the school that she and her family have begun and continue to support in Tanzania, in Africa. And Mr. Smith and Mrs. Davies and Mr. Fitzgibbon, Mr. Wunton and Mrs. Rolfe, Ms. Charlson, Ms. Cummings, Mr. Dart and Mr. Houlihan, who all began another university course known as a Master of Education that's going to take them 2 years to complete. These are just the tip of the iceberg of the things that members of our community continue to do, to achieve and to succeed. And I put them to you as good examples or as evidence of this being a community that does value success. All of these people, members of our school community, display success in the things they do and the challenges they undertake. In a little while, our captains will launch the college theme for 2019. This year's theme really backs up what I've been saying this morning. That is, Emmanuel College is a place to learn where we aim to succeed. Your most successful year at school to date. Celebrate your and others' success. Don't put down the achievements of anyone. Associate yourself with successful people, because the success of others helps us to achieve more. And finally, to the young people being recognised and celebrated this morning, thank you for your hard work and your achievements. Thank you for having the courage to strive for your best, regardless of what anyone else may have thought or said. Emmanuel College is proud of you and wishes each one of you well in the future. I'd now like to hand over to Head of the Senior School, Mr. Shane Smith, to continue with our our presentation and our recognition of achievement this morning.
Students from 2018. Each of the following students has been recognised for having gained the highest study score in one or more Unit 3 or 4 Year 12 studies, or has been recognised as a leading achiever in VCAL or VET studies. In some cases, the highest scoring student was in Year 10 or 11, having accelerated their VCE program. And this year, they will continue with their Year 11 or Year 12 studies. Many of our high achieving students are moving into further study this year. Amongst the group we acknowledge today, we have students entering fields such as commerce, pharmacy, paramedicine, arts, teaching, science, nursing, marine biology and biomedicine. We are very proud of their achievements, and today at our whole school student assembly we recognise their achievements and congratulate them. We congratulate and invite the following alumni and current students to come forward to receive their awards. From Mr Morgan, our college principal, and Mr Houlihan, our assistant principal of teaching and learning. Recipients, we ask you to come forward and receive your award, and we will ask you to stay on stage while the award ceremony is going. It now gives me great pleasure to call the following students forward. Hannah Kraut's Loveday, Physical Education. Sarasa Dugushi, Japanese. Sarasa won the award as a Year 12 student and received the VCE Premier's Award for achieving a perfect score of 50 in her studies. Rose Marie Dimitri, Specialist Mathematics. Rachel Dixon, Health and Human Development. Jacob Gone, Mathematical Methods. Can we please give these students a round of applause, please? Can we please congratulate the following students? Nathan James, Computer Software Development. Shani Jenkins, History Revolutions. Finn Labour, Psychology. Joseph Marnie, Business Management. Ali McCosh, Legal Studies, Outdoor and Environmental Studies, and had the third highest achieving Emmanuel student in the VCE A-type. Matilda O'Brien, French. Kira O'Keefe, History Revolutions. Can we please congratulate the high achieving students? Harrison Price, Economics. Andrew Pritchard, Further Mathematics. Emily Reid, Visual Communication and Design. Brianna Circuit, Chemistry, Studio Arts, and had the second highest achieving Emmanuel student in the VCA type. Keisha Waller, Drama. Rebecca Zerby, Biology and Outdoor Environmental Studies. Alexandra Klem, the Duxes of Emmanuel College for 2018. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in congratulating the class of 2018 achievers. Travel and study commitments have prevented them from being with us this morning. We would also
2018 Duxes of Emmanuel College. Alexandra was a consistently high-achieving student throughout her time at the college and received the VCE Baccalaureate, which recognises students who undertake the demands of a higher maths study and language study. As a Year 11 student, Alexandra completed Unit 3-4 Biology, where she received a score that placed her in the top 9% of the state. In Year 12, Alexandra studied English, psychology, Japanese, chemistry and mathematical methods. Having taught Alexandra for 2 of these subjects, I can tell you how hard she worked. She asked great questions, used her class time well, and generally approached her learning with dedication. Alexandra is having a gap year this year after deferring an offer for biomedicine at the University of Melbourne. We welcome Alexandra back to Emmanuel College.
Hi everyone, thanks so much for having me here today. My name is Alex, and since graduating here last year I've decided to take a gap year before I go to uni, where I've been accepted into the Bachelor of Biomedicine. However, I'm still not entirely sure what career I'd like to go into, so this year my plan is to continue researching and thinking about different courses and career options. The only thing I'm really sure of at the moment is that, as cheesy as it may sound, I want a career in which I can help others to live a better quality of life, and I'd like to do so through a career in health. So for anyone who is feeling stressed because you're not yet sure what you want to do in the future, please don't worry. You still have so much time to figure it out. And as I'm finding, you just don't know if you like something until you try it, which with many careers I can't do. So this year I'm just trying to talk to as many different health professionals as I can to help me figure it out. But the same goes for school. Trying a new subject or extracurricular could help you find your passion. Just as when I started VCE Biology, I realised I wanted a career in health. Even from early on, I remember wanting to study Japanese but being really adamant about not wanting to go on the trip, don't know why, until my teachers in years 8 and 9 would talk about all the amazing things we'd get to do. So I eventually decided I'd go on the trip, and to this day, going to Japan with everyone when I was in Year 11 was one of the best experiences of my life. I was able to stay with an amazing host family, attend high school in Japan, and see so many cool places and different parts of their culture, and I'm now planning to go back this year with my family, as well as hopefully live there for a while sometime in the future. I think also having teachers who are so supportive and passionate about what they teach made all the difference to how my own interests developed, and actually made me look forward to going to classes. All of my teachers, especially in Year 12, just went above and beyond to help us, giving up so much of their own time. So I'd just like to say a really big thanks to you all. Year 12 is such a big year, but what I kept trying to remind myself last year is that in perspective, it is such a short year, only about 9 months I think. So just try your hardest to put in your best efforts in that time, and it really will be over so soon. Having spoken to my friends about it since, most would agree that you get out of it what you put in. I did put in my all, and even though there were so many times I asked myself why I was studying as hard as I was, especially in VCE, and wanted it to be done or just binge watch whatever show I was into at the time on Netflix, looking back now, I am so proud of the work that I put in, because in the end, it did pay off. Even before I received my results, when I was so sure I'd messed up most of my exams and hadn't done nearly as well as I'd hoped to, I felt content with the effort I'd put in, because even though it sounds cliche, all you can do is your best, and if you've done that, then you should be really proud. The hardest thing for me was just to try and find balance, which is hard, but I would really like to emphasise the necessity to sleep and just to try and clear your head or get a change of scenery, whether that's just stepping outside for a bit, listening to some music or going for a walk. It's really important that in this year where everyone's telling you to focus on your studies, that you try your best to make you and your health a priority. I know I'm talking about Year 12 a lot, but I think what I'm saying can apply to all year levels. Probably the most influential thing in helping me to find balance last year was my family, who were always there to support me and help me to focus on my studies because I get distracted really easily. They were always so understanding of me if ever I was feeling the pressure of being a bit irrational or emotional over my work. I think that because of the commitment I'd made to my studies, I always viewed Year 12 as something I just wanted to get over with. But while it's definitely the hardest year, it was also probably my best, because you're all part of such a crazy year that feels so big, all going through a lot of the same stresses and pressures, and there were so many times I really felt year level come together. I felt like everyone's walls just came down, people opened up more, and I was able to talk with so many people I'd wanted to but hadn't yet, as well as being able to reconnect with others. I encourage you all, if there's someone you think seems nice, don't wait until Year 12 to meet them, do so now. And even though it may seem like such a small thing, just having someone pass you and say hi in the corridor always really made my day. And to the Year 7s, I know everything probably seems really daunting now. I remember it was for me, especially coming from a small school and not knowing so many people. Just know everything will start to become familiar really soon, and eventually you will find your kind of people. I remember there were so many people I wanted to get to know but was too shy to, and Mum told me it'll happen eventually, which I kept doubting, but in the end I did end up talking to or becoming friends with all of those people, and this was still happening right up until the end of Year 12. So if everything seems to be crazy now, just know it'll eventually come together. Lastly, I'd just like to reiterate, mainly for Year 12s, is that in the scheme of things, Year 12 isn't the be all and end all. Even though it is important, if things don't go as you'd maybe hoped they would, there are so many pathways to get to what you really want to do. All you can do is your best, and things will all eventually work out. Thanks again for having me.
Thanks very much, Alex. Just before you sit back down there, if you'd like to receive a gift on behalf of Mrs. Pope and the Emmanuel community, once again, congratulations, and we wish you all the best in your future. It's my great pleasure to introduce our next speaker, author, journalist, activist and alumni of the class of 1991, Bridget Delaney. Bridget began her secondary education on this campus as a student of the then St Anne's College. Little did Bridget know, as she took those first steps at the school, of the huge changes before the college, resulting in Bridget and her classmates becoming the very first graduating class for Emmanuel College. After completing her VCE, Bridget gained a law degree from Monash University. Initially began practising law in southwest Victoria. However, her love of writing found her looking for a career change within 2 years of practising law. This lured her to a job at the Sydney Morning Herald. Working as a journalist has taken Bridget all over the world, living and working in over 15 cities. It's also led to her writing and publishing 3 well-received books: Wild Things, The Restless Life, and most recently, Wellmania, Misadventures in the Search for Wellness. Alongside Bridget's work as a journalist and a writer, Bridget is co-founder of the Mercy Campaign. The Mercy Campaign is an Australian-based campaign focusing on 2 Australians, Andrew Chan and Myron Sukumaran, who were on death row in Indonesia for drug trafficking offences as part of the Bali Nine. The campaign's goal was to raise awareness of the 2 Australians' circumstances and to petition the President of Indonesia to grant the pair clemency. Whilst Andrew and Myron were executed in April 2015, the Mercy campaign succeeded in changing people's minds and changing the broader public's opinion. Their petition attracted 250,000 signatures and was given to the Indonesian president. Today, the campaign continues to raise awareness about death penalty issues worldwide. We congratulate Bridget on all of her success to date, and please join me in welcoming Bridget back to her old school today to speak to us.
Thank you. So the death penalty, it's a bit of an odd one because it doesn't happen in Australia and it hasn't happened since the 1960s when the last person hanged was Ronald Ryan in Melbourne. But one of the values that I was taught at St Anne's and later on Emmanuel was a basic respect for the sanctity of human life. So, you know, you don't kill, you know, that's the big one. And after school I went and did a law degree and was inclined to practice as a defence lawyer, so representing people that might be not have huge access to justice, not have a lot of money, have had sort of terrible things happen to them. And I went to Portland where there is a lot of crime, very good for a defence lawyer. But within me there was this sense of, could I be doing something more? Is there a larger kind of social justice thing that needs attention and needs work on? When I was at school, there were two Australian men hanged for trafficking in, I think it was Singapore, Barlow and Chambers. And I remember watching a mini-series when I was at school and being quite distressed that two people who had served a jail time, or were serving a jail time, and were remorseful, were killed by the state. That to me seemed like, I guess, a gross abuse of state powers, and also a denial of something which is very strong in the Catholic tradition, which is mercy. So we're taught at school that if someone is sorry and they ask for forgiveness and they're granted forgiveness, then mercy flows from that. And it's fundamental to Christian teachings. So then to be aware of countries around the world that have the death penalty, which means that even if later on the person is found to have been not guilty or there's a miscarriage of justice, which happens a lot in the US, if you've executed that person, you can't come back from that. That person's gone. So I was always quite angry about the death penalty, and when I'd moved from journalism, I'd moved from law into journalism, and when I was at the Sydney Morning Herald, there was a young Melbourne guy in Singapore who was executed for drug trafficking. His name was Van Nguyen. And I remember feeling really powerless and thinking, this is happening in another country, but I feel so strongly about it. Is there anything I can do? So I went online and I Googled Death Penalty Australia, and I found an organisation called Reprieve. And Reprieve was really interesting. It was set up by a Melbourne barrister, a guy called Richard Burke, who also had similar feelings of passion about the injustices of the death penalty. And he'd gone to the deep south of America, where, you know, sort of not that long ago, black people were lynched, and also today, African Americans are more likely to be incarcerated and to be executed than per capita than white prisoners. So he has devoted his life to setting up this legal centre in America, and law students from around, mostly from Melbourne actually, but from around Australia would go and do internships at this death row centre and actually find themselves working on like 11th hour appeals to try and stop people from being sent to the electric chair or the gas chamber when there were vital bits of evidence that the court wasn't considering. So I joined that organisation, and We sent around 200 law students to the Deep South, to Texas, Louisiana, North Carolina, to work on cases. And that was really exciting, and it's, if any of you get the chance to do it, I highly recommend doing an internship for Reprieve. But yet, the case of Van Nguyen really kind of haunted me, because when he was executed in Singapore, there didn't seem to be much of a campaign to save him. In fact, I hadn't really heard about his case prior to his execution. And there are reasons for that. So, for example, the government needs to have good relationships with the Singaporean government, so they don't want to create too much noise around a case where an Australian might be being executed in another country. So in about 2011, me and a friend, Matthew Goldberg, decided that we might try and keep an eye out for people on death row in other countries who are Australian and see what can be done for them. And we came across two guys who were, two Sydney guys who were in jail in Bali, who were part of the so-called Bali Nine, which is a drug trafficking ring. And two of them were on death row, Andrew Chan and Myron Sukumaran. So we approached the legal team and we said, if these guys get to the point where they're going to be executed, they're going to need a campaign, can we do it? And the legal team said, okay, you guys can do it. Then we went and met the families, and the families gave us their okay. And then for the next few years, Myron and Andrew were sitting in jail in Bali. Myron was doing some amazing stuff with this Australian painter, Ben Quilty, so he'd started an art studio. He was, he was teaching other prisoners how to paint. Andrew had become a Christian and was studying to become a pastor. They were resigned to spending the rest of their lives in jail in Bali, which was fine. They had admitted to trafficking drugs and they were very remorseful. But there was a change of president in Indonesia, and very suddenly this president said, I'm going to kill all the convicted drug traffickers. I'm just going to do a big purge. So suddenly our little campaign of two people, really, it got very hectic very quickly. And we were suddenly fighting for the lives of these two men. By that stage, we'd been going over to Bali and we'd visited them in prison, and we got to know them and their families, and we'd become, very close. And over the 4 months when the campaign really heated up, Matt's a barrister and I worked at The Guardian, and I still work at The Guardian as a journalist. We both left our jobs, we worked for free, we worked day and night to try and get people to sign our petition, which they did. 250,000 people signed it, and to engage not just Australians in fighting against the death penalty, but Indonesians, because we realised while a lot of Australians supported us, the main campaign needed to take place in Indonesia. So we were rapidly learning Indonesian and flying over there and trying to meet people that ran TV stations so they would, air our commercials for free. In the end, it didn't. We were unsuccessful. They were executed at midnight in April 2015, and I still get very upset thinking about the fact that these two men had done something really bad, but they were truly remorseful and they were prepared to do time in jail, and they had changed a lot, and yet the state took them out and shot them in the middle of the night. And I still find that repugnant, and I don't regret a minute of fighting to save them. So I guess my message to you guys is, it doesn't really matter what you do in your career. I mean, it does, but it also doesn't. But what matters is find something that you're passionate about. Find something that you care about, whether it's the death penalty, whether it's, animal welfare, whether it's, the inequality with Indigenous and white Australia. Find something, and don't just talk about it with your friends. Don't just click like on Facebook. Do something about it. Even if it's a lifelong project to enact social change, and even if that social change doesn't work, even if you fail, you'll never die wondering what it was like to fight. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Bridget. Please accept this gift on behalf of the college, and we thank you for returning today. Thanks very much. Now I'd like to introduce the Emmanuel College Concert Band under the guidance of Mr. Leonard today. They'll provide us with a musical interlude. Today they'll play a James Bond.
Thank you, Mr. Wrigley. I would like to just introduce the senior concert band. It might be a bit hard to see over here. They've been over here in the corner for a little while. You probably heard them a little bit as we came in. Another remarkable group of students that we have here at Emmanuel. They've been together a bit over 2 years now, and they're always ready to jump in as required. So I sent them an email only a week or so ago, say, look guys, I need you to play an assembly. It's a reasonably big assembly. And every one of them jumped at it. We had a quick rehearsal on Monday, and here we are. So we're probably a bit rusty. Everyone would have had a holiday, but we're ready to go. The piece we're going to play is a James Bond medley. If you're familiar with James Bond, that's a British secret agent. It is a medley that we put together for the opening of the stage at the end of last year. And it's a pretty tricky piece, it's pretty challenging, so we're going to have a shot at it. One of the things we wanted to do was change it up a little bit with our performances, and we wanted to introduce the visual media into it as we play. So in the stage theatre, in the white theatre, that works really well because it's a lovely big stage there. I have to say I was pretty happy this morning that it was overcast, so you wanted people to have it, so we could actually utilise the screens. So we're going to try and link what we're playing with the visuals in a moment so you can sort of see how that works. It was interesting, Mr. Sassman put a lot of work into getting the visuals together. We've got obviously a medley of music, or we wanted a medley of visuals from different movies. Look, I know there's a lot of people that really do kind of channel into James Bond perhaps in their own lives. And I hear on staff, we certainly had some teachers that are like that. But it was really interesting when we were looking through some of the visuals, that there's an uncanny sort of resemblance in some of the pictures. Mr. Sassman, look at that picture of we found there. It might be hard to see, but if you just really look in there, there's quite a resemblance to one of our senior staff there. I don't know, maybe it's just a we'll see. James Bond is also well known for being a fan of Aston Martin sports cars. And I'm pretty sure I walked past a phone conversation, which never really used me on phone conversations, but with one of our senior staff here, and it was sort of along the lines of, no, I need to get rid of the Toyota, I need an Aston. It might have been an Astra, but I'm pretty sure it was Aston. Anyway, so we're going to have a go at this. It's a James Bond medley, we're going to put it together with the visuals, so I can enjoy it.
Yes.
Thank you, Glenn, and to the concert band. Well done. Another significant part of today's assembly is the launch of the 2019 Emmanuel College theme. Last year, our theme was ACT, Action Changes Things. Our 2018 leaders did a fantastic job at embracing the theme. There were many great events and initiatives undertaken throughout the year. Late last year, the student leadership group, including the house captains, spent time developing goals and priorities for this year, and in doing so, developed the 2019 theme. We'd like to thank all of our student leaders who were involved in the development of the theme, and we look forward to all members of the Emmanuel community taking the message on board and bringing the theme to life through their actions this year. I now would like to invite our 2019 college captains, Zara Lukes and Joe Marnie, to give their welcome address and to launch the 2019 theme. Welcome, Joe and Zara.
Good morning. Good morning, invited guests, staff and students, and welcome back to another school year. I'd like to especially welcome those new students beginning their time here at Emmanuel in Year 7 and any other year levels. During the holidays, the leaders from each year level were involved in a workshop over a 2-day period. This workshop focused on assisting us to further develop our leadership skills and to work on ideas for the Emmanuel College theme in 2019. This morning, it is with great pride and excitement that we announce the 2019 Emmanuel College theme, Aspire and Inspire.
Aspire and Inspire is about encouraging students and staff to be the best possible versions of themselves.
We chose this theme feeling inspired by Simon Hogan after speaking with us at the Leadership Assembly at the end of 2018. We all came away with a strong and empowering message about aspiring to be your best rather than the best. At Emmanuel, there is a consistent message about encouraging students to do their best and reach their own individual goals. This theme also encourages us to think about what we can do as Emmanuel students for the broader college community and how we can make a difference, big or small.
When facing the events of day-to-day life, such as school, work, and those people around us, we can react in one of two ways. The first option is much easier and focuses on flaws. For example, we may enter an English class and think how boring it is to be reading a book for an upcoming test. When focusing on flaws, our thinking can quickly become very negative, making us unable to appreciate the good that is all around us. Luckily, the second option encourages us to look at all the good in life and be grateful for those opportunities we have. This year's theme, Aspire and Inspire, encourages us to adopt this positive attitude. When aspiring to achieve your goals, it is always much better to do so with energy, confidence, and enthusiasm, as these traits are what allow you to endure challenges with a growth mindset and improve from your mistakes. After all, it is true that those who think they can and those who think they can't are both usually right. In my experience, I've also been inspired by those people who can set out and work towards achieving their aspirations. When somebody can accomplish something they care about, it confirms in me the fact that hard work does pay off. In other words, it inspires me when others aspire. Therefore, this year's theme encourages us to unite as one, where we help each other to strive for our goals. As one person aspires, another is inspired, helping us all to grow and evolve into better people, better versions of ourselves. Recently, the Year 12 group and I have been on a retreat where focus was placed on our strengths. It was said that people have several times more potential for growth when they invest energy in developing their strengths instead of correcting their flaws. So in 2019, take time to find out what your strengths are. I say this because whatever you aspire for is likely within your area of strength, as the things we enjoy are usually the things we are good at. So if it's a sporting, academic, musical, or any other aspiration, know that this school community is willing to help you achieve your goals, which will inspire others to do the same. Thank you.
Over the summer break, I was given the incredible opportunity by the college to attend the Edmund Rice Education Student Leaders Conference for 2019. The conference was situated in Brisbane, where the college captains from Edmund Rice schools across the country came together for 4 days to learn, collaborate, and feel inspired to come back and work with our own school communities, aspiring to make a difference in the footsteps of Edmund Rice. Over the course of the conference, we discussed the importance of not getting caught up on what everyone around you is doing, making sure that you are focused on the things that are important for you in order to reach your goals. It is important to not let anyone hold you back, and it is just as important to not hold back the other people around you. We need to inspire each other to be the best versions of ourselves in order to reach our full potential. Don't be afraid to ask those around you for help along the journey to achieving your goals. This goes for all students, but particularly to the new Year 7s and the other numerous students in different year levels, beginning their journey with us at Emmanuel. The college community is a very welcoming and inclusive environment. We want you to know that there is always somebody out there willing to assist you in where you want to go, and that there is endless support coming from all aspects of the college. Let's use this year as an opportunity for growth, an opportunity to direct our hopes and ambitions towards achieving our own goals, whilst helping one another along in the process. Think about what you can do to make a difference. Remember that to make a difference, you don't have to change the world. Even the smallest act of kindness can make the biggest difference to someone's day. Because when we work together, we have the ability to make a huge difference to our lives and the lives of those around us. Aspire to set out your goals for 2019 and beyond. Try to play your part in making a difference this year. Because if it's not us, then who? And if we don't start now, then when? Thank you.
Thank you, Zara and Joe. I hope that you all embrace this year's theme. Our next presentation is a great example of how students at Emmanuel are making a difference. I'd now like to invite Year 12 students Piper Hinkley and Lars Weigel to the stage, give a presentation about their recent experience on World Challenge.
At the end of last year, I got to go on the World Challenge expedition to China and Laos. When we finally landed in Beijing after an all-intensive flight, I didn't know what I'd gotten myself into. It was nighttime when we got there and we had to walk to our hostel. I could not have been more scared. With every step you took, all you could hear was people speaking another language that I only knew 2 words. But it's okay, I promise it gets better. Over the course of the month-long trip, I got to experience and see some amazing things. I'll try not to babble on too much though.
In Beijing, we went to Tiananmen Square and the Forbidden City, which was an impressive 9,999.5 rooms. We also went to the Great Wall of China, which was awesome. We went to Xi'an by overnight train. Here we saw the terracotta warriors and also go see them if you do get a chance. Then it was a bullet train to Chengdu, where we got to see the pandas. Unfortunately, we couldn't come up, Piper couldn't come up with a way to sneak a panda out of the enclosure. When we then travelled to Kunming and then to Lijiang on another overnight train. Lijiang was a beautiful place. It was the first time we could smell fresh air since Beijing. We got to shop in the old town that they have there before going on our first 2-day trek to the deepest gorge in the world. It was an awesome walking through the mountains and the view was absolutely surreal. Then we went to Jinghong and we had a few days rest before an 8-hour bus ride into Laos. We then went on our second trek in Warrnambool for 3 days through the jungle, which turned out to be the favourite part of the trip despite all the spiders and leeches lurking in the trees, one of which got me. On this trek, we got to swim in a river, stay in a jungle hut in a small village. We then took another bus ride to Luang Prabang where we had a party for a few birthdays. Finally, we were on the last stage of our expedition, our project. We stayed in a local village where we got to exchange our cultures. The girls in the village showed us how to do a beautiful local dance in a true Aussie fashion. We showed them how to do the nutbush and the Macarena. On project, we would go to our building site every morning to help lay the foundation for a dormitory for the school there. Many of the kids that go to the school would have to walk 6 hours to go to school with all the stuff of the week like food. So it was definitely worth the effort to help those kids. If you're someone looking to do a lot of travelling after you leave school, World Challenge is for you, because you gain a lot of skills in navigating your way through foreign countries and cultures. If you're someone who loves the outdoors, give the World Challenge a go. Even if you don't, still give it a go. Even if you just love to have different sorts of food and want to try local cuisine, give World Challenge a go. Trust me when I say, if I can do it, anyone can do it. Thank you.
We'd now like to take this opportunity to present this book that we got at Terracotta Warriors to Mr. Morgan.
Thanks, Piper and Lars. I now invite Katie Meyer from World Challenge to present a certificate acknowledging Emmanuel College's contribution on the 2018 expedition. I invite Katie to present this certificate today to College Principal, Mr. Morgan.
Having me. Something that Piper and Lars didn't mention is that they actually worked for almost 2 years to put this trip together. It's easy to see beautiful photos like this and think that this was a trip that they were just following the steps of, and They were following the teachers or they were following the leaders, and that wasn't the case. They flipped this trip on their heads. So almost 2 years ago exactly, we stood in this spot and we pitched a trip to China and Laos, and they worked their butts off to get there. They worked on fitness, they worked on fundraising, on how they work together as a team, and they planned this itinerary. How they're getting from Beijing to Chengdu, how they're getting down to Laos in the first place. It all fell back on that team. They had that opportunity when they were in Year 9 and 10, so for the Year 9 and 10 students at the moment, I'll be coming and speaking with you in Term 2 to launch the next expedition. I can't give too much away, but I can say that this expedition is bigger than ever before, and I'm really excited to launch it next term. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Katie. Just got a couple more presentations to go today, and our next one is centres around some of the many wonderful opportunities on offer in the Languages faculty at Emmanuel College. I invite Ms Michelle Joseph, Head of Languages, to the stage to begin by presenting the VCE language badges to students commencing either VCE Japanese or French in 2019. Mr Houlihan will present the badges.
Thanks. Good morning, everyone. Today I have the pleasure of presenting the students studying French and Japanese in Year 11 in 2019 with their language badges. The Year 12 students received their language badges last year. These badges acknowledge the dedication and perseverance required to study a language at VCE. There are a plethora of opportunities available to students who choose to study a language beyond Year 8. And whilst it requires a commitment, the rewards are immeasurable. This includes helping contribute to your ATAR and the life experiences that you can gain. I'd now like to invite the following students studying Japanese in Year 11 to receive their badges. Joseph Amarant, Kate Beggs, Angel Cara, Harrison Carroll Beard, Martina de Ross, Liam Greening, Maggie Johnson, Nio Paul, Alicia Stewart, and Jackson Timms. I'd now like to call upon the students studying French in Year 11 to receive their language badges. AJ Buttonshaw Benny, Sarasa Deguchi, Tess Dempsey, Ines Garnier, Amal Gaston, Jacob Don, Tian Haberfield, Ella Hazel, Kaylee Lumsden, and Alan Patterson. Year 12 students to speak about their experience participating in the French language and culture study tour last year. Girls?
L'année dernière, nous avons visité la France pendant 3 semaines lors d'un échange scolaire. Nous sommes allés à Bayeux, Paris et Lyon.
Last year, we visited France as part of a 3-week exchange. We went to Bayeux, Paris and Lyon.
Notre séjour à Bayeux était une expérience inoubliable. Grâce à l'hospitalité de notre école partenaire, nous avons eu l'occasion de voir la tapisserie de Bayeux, de visiter les plages du Barquemont et de nous plonger dans la culture française.
Bayeux was
unforgettable for the hospitality shown to us from our sister school. Not only did we have the opportunity to see the Bayeux Tapestry and visit the D-Day beaches, but we were able to fully immerse ourselves in the French culture.
Après Bayeux, nous sommes restés à Paris, ce qui était incroyable. Nous sommes allés au musée du Louvre, à Montmartre, à la cathédrale Notre-Dame et le Tour Eiffel, juste pour vous citer quelques endroits. Nous avons aussi mangé des plats typiques français comme des croissants, des escargots et beaucoup de fromage sec qui étaient délicieux.
After Bayeux, we stayed in Paris, which was amazing. We went to the Louvre, Montmartre, Notre Dame, and of course the Eiffel Tower, just to name a few places. We also ate typical French food such as croissants, snails, and lots of cheese, which were delicious. Puis, nous sommes allés à Lyon, où nos familles d'accueil nous avons accueillis d'une manière chaleureuse. Nous avons visité plusieurs monuments et sites touristiques tels que la ville vide Lyon, la place Bellecour et des travaux.
After that, we visited Lyon and were once again warmly welcomed by our host families and visited many places. Ce voyage a été le point d'orgue de nos études de français à Emmanuel Collège et représente une expérience unique dans notre vie.
This trip was the culmination of learning French at Emmanuel College, and it was truly a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
Thanks, girls. And finally, I'd like to invite some Year 12 students to speak about their experience participating in a 2-month exchange in Japan over the summer holidays. Thanks, boys.
僕たち2人はウォーナンブルの姉妹都市であるミューラ市に2ヶ月間留学しました。そこでホームステイしたり、発生中学に通ったりしました。
Last year we went on an exchange to Warrnambool's sister city Mira for 2 months. We stayed with the Japanese host family and went to Hasei Junior High School. 僕たちが一番の思い出にのことてることはディズニーランドにいたことと友達どんな自転車に乗ったことと日本食たくさん食べましたことです。
Our best memories were going to Disneyland, riding electric bikes, and eating lots of yummy Japanese food.
僕たち3人は東京都に2ヶ月間留学しました。そこで姉妹校であるオーリン高校に通ったり、旅行に行ったりしました。
Joby, Finn and I went to Tokyo for 2 months as exchange students. We went to our sister school over in high school and went on holidays. 僕たちが一番印象に残っていることはスノーボードをしたこと。 たくさん日本食を食べたことと、学校で部活をしたことです。
The highlights were going snowboarding, eating lots of Japanese food, and going to club activities after school. 僕たちは日本に行って素晴らしい経験をすることができました。皆さんも日本語の勉強を一生懸命頑張ってぜひ日本に留学してみてください。
So we went to Japan and had an amazing experience, and we hope that you too can study Japanese hard and go to Japan.
Thanks, guys. I'm sure that most of you can appreciate how difficult it would be to stand up here in front of 1,500 people and speak, let alone doing it in another language. So I think the students deserve another round of applause. Thank you.
Great job. Thanks, Miss Joseph. We're nearly there at the end of our beginning of year assembly. And our final item is a video presentation of the 2018 Alternative Schoolies Immersion to East Timor, held in December. 18 Year 12 students accompanied Mr Claridge to Timor-Leste, and whilst visiting there they helped teach English and played with the local school children and immersed themselves in the culture. Students who were involved all spoke about how much the experience made them think about how fortunate we are to have the amazing educational opportunities that we do here in Warrnambool. I'll just ask Mr Sassman-Housen to load the clip there, and we'll have a little bit of a look at what happened back in November, December last year.